All right. Let's get back to the Biden docu-saga.
Office. The original discovery made in November was not disclosed to the public until CBS News asked the White House about it 1 week ago. And a new revelation came Saturday when White House lawyer Richard Sauber said when he went to the president's Delaware home to turn over a single page marked classified to the Justice Department, 5 additional pages with classification markings were discovered among the material.
Well, it's certainly embarrassing, right? I mean, it's embarrassing that you would find a small number of documents, certainly not on purpose.
Democrats say there are key differences between President Biden's situation and the hundreds of classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago.
No, it's not Democrats saying that. It's like people who are normal with a brain that are saying that. Like, what? This is not like a Democrats versus. Oh, God, I hate this. The DOJ gave the exact same opportunity to Donald Trump. Donald Trump refused to take advantage of said opportunity. The Department of Justice is not in the business of rocking the fucking boat. They are there to protect and serve the interests of the wealthy, politicians, corporations. They are not there to just like genuinely advocate for justice or whatever. And they certainly don't give a shit about like documents all that much, okay? Nobody does. The point is, when the DOJ comes to you and says, hey, you have a bunch of these classified documents, that's kind of weird. What's going on there? Can we get those back? And you say, maybe. And then you give some of them back. And then you keep the rest of them deliberately. And then they ask again and you say, nah, not doing that. Then yeah, of course this is going to happen. Because ultimately the docu-saga, okay, the documania, all this like all this shit back and forth, all this dumbass back and forth about like the documents being mishandled. It's like it's just normal. It's normal. It's like a normal thing that happens. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know shit. You're right, brother. I'm wrong. You're right, and I'm wrong. I'm so mad that they found fucking classified documents in Biden's house. It just makes me so pissed. I just joined. Okay, well, here's where you went wrong. Okay? You are supposed to say, hey, man, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't know shit. It's not that you're supposed to say, I don't know shit. You're not supposed to say you don't know shit. Because it seems like you are the one who is confused. Why was your first thing to just be like, I just joined and fuck you, okay? Here, take a second off to think about that.
Which former President Trump resisted turning over for more than a year.
The moment they found out about the documents that day, turned them over. That is a very different posture than what we saw with Donald Trump.
But while some Republicans allege a double standard,
what's real concerning to me is how justice is applied, and is it applied equally?
Others say this presents problems for both parties.
So I think there's blame to go around on both sides of this. And I think if you're an honest statesman, you just can't point the fingers to the other guy and deny that there was problems on our side as well.
The special counsel appointed by the Attorney General to investigate will soon get to work, compiling his team and digging deeper to determine the key question. Was it simply carelessness or was it intentional? Legal experts tell us that only if this was intentional could potential charges be warranted. Gail?
All right, Adriana, thank you so much. For more on this story and what it could mean for President Biden, let's bring in Nancy Cordes. She's at the White House. Nancy, good morning to you. I think a lot of people the Democrats keep saying there's a big difference, there's a big difference. But if you're a viewer sitting at home, I think it may be hard for you to figure out what the difference is. Moving forward, how do you think this is going to affect the Biden administration?
Well, it is certainly diverting some attention, Gail, from the White House's agenda, at least in the short term. And of course, we have no idea how long the special counsel's investigation is going to last or where it's going to lead. Now, White House officials I've spoken to insist that the public isn't paying all that much attention to this, that Americans care about.
Yeah, they're right, though. Like, this isn't, they're right. I don't know how else to describe this. Again, I keep qualifying this and I keep saying, maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel like it. Okay. I don't think I'm wrong. Like, I just don't think people give a shit. I just don't think people give a shit.
Other big issues like the economy and inflation, but Democratic lawmakers I've spoken to do worry that this is going to make it much harder to create a contrast with former President Trump and his mishandling of classified documents in the run-up to the 2024 election.
The other thing that's so unsettling.
The irony here is that, you know what's funny? The irony here is that, like, if this became a bigger story, like if this actually became a bigger story, if people were like hyper-focusing on this, battle lines would be drawn on it, of course, okay? And Democrats would start getting like really agitated and defensive over Biden, which would then take the conversation away from the very real talking point of whether or not Biden is capable of fucking running next time around. So this would literally help the Democrats even if it did become a story, because everyone would turn around and say at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, okay? And that usually galvanizes a lot of the people who are subscribed already because they know that they will have an uninterrupted broadcast experience at the top of the hour. And in the middle of the hour, there's a secret one. By the way, the worst part about doing really good segues like that, in my opinion, is that I actually did interrupt an actual take that I was making. Like, that was a real political take, okay? Going back to that, okay, we cut it, we go back. Will Toax, thank you for the 521, give the subs. C-Bank Rolls, thank you for the 5, give the subs. Yeah, so ultimately, this, if it became like a serious thing, right? And it became like a national news story that like both sides are supposed to care about instead of like, I don't know, banning gas stoves or whatever. This would actually end up helping Biden if he wanted to run again, because this would galvanize the libs to like draw battle lines. And right now, the real implosion is happening in both parties. On the Democratic side, the implosion is smaller, and it's just basically like, what the fuck are we going to do? I think this is going to be a historic fucking re-election because the incumbent is like 800 years old, right? So does Biden run again? Does he not run again? This is a question that they're going to be dodging until the very last moment, right? Until they can't dodge any longer. So having a conversation like this only improves Biden's chances of re-election and even like galvanizes his base of support, because right now people are looking at it and they're thinking, okay, inflation is high, but it's like kind of stable. Okay. The job market is okay. Not great, but it's not awful. Gas prices have normalized again. Yes, you know, ultimately egg prices are really high and whatever, but you know, there's certain parts where, by the way, thank you for the 861. Like if you look at the CPI, or if you look at like certain things, if you look at certain prices, like, that are at least like somewhat under the control, or whatever people consider to be under the control of the Democratic Party, like they are looking at that and saying like, okay, well, we are now living in this universe, right? The last 3 administrations did this. Isn't Brandon handing over everything and immediately doing things by the book? Yes, it is, which is why it's not a real story. But the liberal media is like turning this into a real story. Come on, dog. You know shit is much more expensive right now. No, I understand that. Inflation is at an all-time high. But the rate of inflation has stabilized. Like, it was skyrocketing, and now, you know, it's still high, and they're trying to manage it. They're trying to deal with it. And certain prices, certain consumer goods keep going up, while others are going down again. Ultimately, though, ultimately, stop saying, come on, dog. I fucking hate this shit so much, dude. Look, I hate when you turn around and try to, when I'm doing political commentary, try to cut this into like your opportunity to be like, Hasan, you're fucking out of touch. When I'm looking at a broader picture, you are literally bringing your own personal fucking experiences with how expensive things are. I understand that, okay? Jesus Christ. Anyway, if my assessment was untrue, Joe Brandon would not have hit 50% in his approval rating for the first time in months. Okay? Shut the fuck up. That's it. He has had the highest rate of approval recently. He's had the highest rate of approval in the past since the past couple of months, maybe the past year, as a matter of fact. Okay? I mean, yeah, here. Thank you. He's experiencing a wave of his disapproval rating is going down and his approval rating is going up, especially in the past couple of months, right? There you go. And this is like RCP average. So, sorry. Part of that is because they consider this to be like, they consider what he's doing to be decent. Like, they consider that he's doing a decent job, ultimately. The less people pay attention to what's going on in politics, the more the Joe Brandon is doing his job. Okay? That's it. The more people can just like tune out and go back to brunch and do all this shit, the better Brandon's job is, okay? Because that's what he was elected for, so that people would stop fucking paying attention to politics. The reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because, again, at this very moment, putting a battle line on, Democrats versus Republicans type of conversation around something so insignificant like document mishandling, especially when the person that they're trying to attack is like directly collaborating and immediately fucking listening to the authorities, is going to create a system that's beneficial for Brandon. Okay? This will create a process where battle lines are drawn and the Democrats are on one side and the Republicans are on the other, and no one will talk about how fucking awful it will be if Brandon runs again. There it is.
Nancy, is a drippity drip that just keeps coming out about these documents. And the Biden administration keeps saying,
also,
we're very
they're
transparent.
starving,
This is what
dude.
we did right away.
They're fucking starving. Like, they're desperate for content. Look at this shit. They're so desperate.
Do you think they're upholding their end of the bargain about being transparent, as they've always promised to be?
Well, they've certainly gotten a lot of criticism for their decision not to disclose any of this for 2 months, until after CBS News broke the story last week. And that may be why the president's personal lawyer, Bob Bauer, came out with a statement over the weekend trying to explain that decision. He said they were trying to balance the importance of public transparency with the need to protect the investigation's integrity. The big question now, Gail, going forward is how transparent is the White House going to be with the Republican-led House Oversight Committee, which is seeking...
Yeah. Now that's my shit. I can't wait for that, dude. I told you already, it's going to get really fun when... It's going to get really fucking fun when all the Republican Party wants to do with this like newfound margin of power is just consistently investigate Brandon, try to impeach him. It'll be great. It'll be awesome.